There is something undeniable about certain women. They walk into a room and without saying a word, the atmosphere shifts. People notice them, not because of how they look or what they wear, but because there is a depth about them that cannot be imitated. It is not artificial. It cannot be bought, and it cannot be faked. It is the mark of a woman favored by God. You may have felt this about yourself but struggle to put it into words. People sense something unique in you, though they might not always understand what it is. Some admire you, others envy you, and a few even attempt to diminish you. And yet, no matter how the world responds, you rise. Again and again you rise, stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This is not coincidence. It is a sign. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The truth is, being favored by God is not about chance or luck. It is about alignment. It is about walking with awareness, carrying the weight of your trials, and letting them shape you into someone who does not simply survive but transforms. Suffering is the path to favor. Life, as many philosophers and prophets have pointed out, is suffering. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either naive or deceiving themselves. But suffering, when viewed rightly, is not a curse. It is a teacher. A woman favored by God is not the one who avoided the flames. She is the one who walked through fire and came out refined. Think about it. Most people, when faced with loss, rejection, or hardship, collapse beneath the weight of it. They grow bitter, resentful, and cynical. Their wounds become their identity. But the woman favored by God does something radically different. She takes her pain and transforms it into wisdom. She uses her heartbreak as fuel for deeper compassion. She turns her losses into lessons that become stepping stones for growth. This is not an easy road. It requires a choice, sometimes daily, to see suffering not as destruction but as transformation. And this choice, repeated over and over, creates a depth of spirit that others cannot help but notice. Strength that radiates without words. There is something magnetic about a woman who has suffered but not surrendered. She carries herself differently. Her eyes hold stories, her voice carries weight, and her presence demands respect. Not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. Carl Jung observed, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." This saying captures the essence of divine favor. A favored woman is not defined by her past wounds. She has chosen to become something more. Where others might have allowed hardship to make them small, she has expanded. She has let the pain stretch her capacity for love, resilience, and wisdom. And because of this, people are drawn to her, even if they cannot articulate why. Her very existence becomes a beacon, not because she tries to shine, but because she cannot help it. The cost of rising. Yet make no mistake, this strength comes at a cost. When you rise above suffering, when you embody resilience and grace, not everyone will celebrate you. Some will envy you, some will resent you, and others will even try to break you in ways life could not. Why? Because your strength unsettles them. Your presence reminds them of their own unhealed wounds, their own missed opportunities, their own failures to rise. And instead of being inspired, they become defensive. This is where the real test begins. It is not just about surviving hardship. It is about refusing to let hardship harden you. It is about keeping your heart soft even when the world gives you every reason to be cold. It is about remaining vulnerable, kind, and open-hearted, not because you are naive, but because you understand that true power lies in the ability to love, even after betrayal. Carl Jung put it plainly, "Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking." The favored woman understands this deeply. Her strength is not about domination or control. It is about love. It is about maintaining her humanity, even when life tries to strip it away. The quiet confidence of the tested. When you have faced your darkest nights, when you have stood at rock bottom and still risen, you carry an unshakable confidence. Not the loud, boastful kind that demands attention, but the quiet, steady assurance of someone who knows exactly who she is and what she is capable of. This kind of confidence cannot be faked. It cannot be learned from a book or borrowed from someone else. It must be forged in the furnace of suffering. It must be earned in silence, in the nights no one sees, in the moments when giving up seemed easier but was not chosen. And once you carry this confidence, the world begins to notice. Some admire it, others resent it, but all are moved by it. The burden of favor. Being favored is not just about blessings. It is about responsibility. God does not grant favor to the complacent or to those unwilling to grow. He grants it to those who have proven they can carry the weight of it. And make no mistake, it is a weight. To be favored means you will walk a different path. You will face more resistance. You will feel misunderstood. You will often stand alone. But you will also discover strength, wisdom, and resilience that others cannot fathom. Carl Jung captured this paradox beautifully. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Divine favor requires consciousness, awareness of who you are, awareness of your purpose, awareness of the weight you carry. And that awareness is almost always born through pain. If you have recognized even a glimpse of yourself in these words, know this: you are not ordinary. You are chosen, set apart, guided by a force greater than yourself. The struggles you have endured, the strength you carry, the wisdom you speak, it is all evidence of divine favor on your life. But this is only the beginning. In the parts ahead, we will explore even deeper the signs of favor, the intuition that protects you, the resilience that cannot be destroyed, the rejection that reveals your true calling, and the freedom that comes when you no longer live bound by fear. For now, remember this: your suffering is not wasted. It is the forge of your strength, and your strength is not for you alone. It is the evidence that you are a woman favored by God. Or as Jung reminded us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. There is something unsettling about you, isn't there? Not in a dark or negative way, but in a way that others cannot easily explain. You see things before others do. You feel when a room shifts in energy. You sense the truth behind words that do not match the spirit from which they come. This is not a curse. It is not imagination. It is one of the clearest signs that you are walking in divine favor. You have been given the gift of intuition. Intuition as divine protection. For many, intuition is dismissed as just a feeling. They second-guess it, push it aside, and later regret ignoring it. But for the woman favored by God, intuition is not something to debate. It is something to trust. She has lived long enough, suffered deeply enough, and been tested often enough to know that the whisper within her spirit is not accidental. It is a form of protection. This inner voice, this knowing that cannot be explained logically, has saved her more times than she can count. It has warned her of relationships that would have destroyed her. It has nudged her away from opportunities that seemed promising but were dangerous. It has guided her toward doors she never would have opened had she relied solely on reason. Carl Jung once wrote, "In each of us there is another whom we do not know. This is the mystery of intuition. It is not the conscious mind. It is the deeper self, the soul attuned to God, to truth, to realities that cannot be seen. When you listen to that deeper self, you are no longer bound by appearances. You are led by truth, the pain of seeing too clearly. Yet, to see clearly is both a gift and a burden, because when you discern the motives of people before they reveal themselves, when you notice the cracks in their words, when you sense dishonesty others cannot detect, you quickly realize something. Not everyone wants to be seen. Some people need you to remain blind in order to manipulate you. They thrive on others doubting themselves, on maintaining control through deception. And when they encounter you, a woman who cannot be fooled so easily, they often turn against you. They call you paranoid. They accuse you of being too much or too suspicious. But deep down they know the truth. They cannot deceive you. This rejection can sting. It can make you feel isolated, misunderstood, even heavy-hearted. But in reality, it is a blessing. Because those who cannot handle your insight were never meant to walk beside you. Carl Jung warned, "Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." The woman favored by God does not ignore the visions within her. She awakens to them. She trusts them. She does not betray herself by silencing her instincts. The polarizing power of presence. Beyond intuition, another sign of divine favor is presence. You may have noticed a pattern. People either love you deeply or oppose you strongly. There is rarely a neutral response. This can be confusing at first. After all, most people want to be liked. They want to fit in, to be accepted by as many as possible. But when you are favored by God, that is not your path. You do not simply enter a room, you shift its atmosphere. Some feel safe around you, sensing your wisdom, depth, and authenticity. Others feel threatened, exposed, and uncomfortable. Why? Because your presence acts as a mirror. You do not mean to, but you reflect back to people the truth of who they are. Those who are ready for growth will be inspired. Those who are avoiding themselves will retreat into bitterness. It is not that you are doing anything wrong. It is that your very existence demands that others confront themselves. And this for many is too much. Carl Jung understood this dynamic deeply when he said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." You have accepted yourself. You walk in authenticity. And for those who have not, your presence is terrifying. Not because you are dangerous, but because you embody the very freedom they have denied themselves. A woman favored by God is not one who has lived an easy life. She is not handed blessings without battle, nor does she walk through life untouched by sorrow. Quite the opposite. She is the one who has faced storms that would have crushed others, endured fires that should have consumed her, and still stands. Her story is not one of avoidance, but of endurance. And this endurance has forged in her a resilience that cannot be taught in classrooms or gleaned from books. It is resilience earned the hard way, through nights of wrestling with despair, through losses that stripped her bare, through betrayals that could have turned her heart cold, but did not. Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no light without shadow and no psychic wholeness without imperfection." This is the paradox of the favored woman. Her strength does not come from being flawless, but from surviving her imperfections, her failures, her shadows. She is not strong because she never fell. She is strong because she fell many times and refused to remain there. Struggle as preparation. The favored woman understands something most people do not. Struggle is not punishment. It is preparation. Each obstacle she faces is not designed to destroy her, but to shape her. Each disappointment, though painful, is an invitation to deeper wisdom. Each trial is a forge, burning away what is unnecessary so that only what is eternal remains. To those who look from the outside, her strength may seem natural. They see her confidence, her calm under pressure, her ability to endure, and they assume she has always been this way. They do not see the battles fought in silence, the tears shed in solitude, the countless times she wanted to quit but chose not to. And this is why her resilience is so rare. It is earned, not inherited. It is built, not gifted. Carl Jung captured this truth. Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health. In the same way, the favored woman does not despise her struggles. She learns to see them as necessary. Painful, yes, but purposeful. Each difficulty has expanded her capacity to lead, to endure, to love, and to inspire. The quiet power of endurance. One of the most striking qualities of a woman favored by God is her calm in the midst of chaos. Where others panic, she remains steady. Where others collapse under pressure, she stands tall. This does not mean she does not feel fear, doubt, or grief. It means she has learned not to be ruled by them. Her life has taught her that storms pass, pain lessens, rejection heals, and because she has endured, she no longer reacts to temporary setbacks with despair. She carries within her a quiet power, a knowledge that she has already survived worse and will survive again. Carl Jung explained it this way: "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved but only outgrown." The favored woman knows this instinctively. She does not always solve her problems. Instead, she grows beyond them. What once would have destroyed her no longer touches her. What once kept her awake at night no longer has power. She has outgrown her pain, freedom from fear. Because of her resilience, the favored woman is free in a way most people are not. Most people live enslaved to fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. They make decisions based on insecurity, compromise their values for acceptance, and settle for less than what they are called to. But not her. She has already faced rejection and survived it. She has already failed and risen again. She has already stood alone and discovered that solitude is not death, but freedom. Because of this, she does not live shackled by the fears that chain others. She is free to live boldly, to choose authentically, to walk unapologetically in her calling. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This privilege is the fruit of resilience. When fear no longer rules you, you finally have the courage to be yourself. And the favored woman lives in that freedom daily, the misunderstood strength. Yet this strength often confuses others. To those still enslaved by fear, her confidence appears as arrogance. Her independence is mistaken for coldness. Her refusal to settle is seen as stubbornness. People accuse her of being too much, too strong, too intense, too ambitious, too independent. They do not realize that what they see is not arrogance but survival. It is the product of fire, the gift of endurance, the fruit of resilience. This is why she does not waste time trying to convince others of her worth. She knows who she is. She knows what she has overcome. And she knows that no amount of criticism or misunderstanding can erase that truth. Carl Jung observed, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases." The favored woman lives by this wisdom. She understands that her path is not meant to be understood or accepted by everyone. Her journey is unique, her resilience is unique, and so is her calling. Carrying the weight of greatness. Resilience is not just about survival. It is about preparation for responsibility. Favor is not given lightly. It comes with weight, with the expectation that you will carry what others cannot, endure what others will not, and shine where others shrink. This is why her struggles have been so intense, why her path has been so demanding. She is being prepared to carry greatness. And greatness, contrary to popular belief, is not about fame or recognition. It is about responsibility. It is about the ability to hold space for others, to lead without fear, to inspire without pretense, to stand firm when others waver. And because of her resilience, she is ready. If you recognize this resilience in yourself, if you know what it means to endure when quitting seemed easier, if you carry the quiet confidence of one who has faced the fire and survived, then understand this: you are walking in divine favor. Your suffering has not been wasted, it has refined you. Your struggles have not destroyed you, they have prepared you. Your pain has not defined you, it has strengthened you. As Jung wisely said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." And you, favored woman, have chosen well. You have chosen strength, wisdom, and resilience. And in doing so, you have proven yourself worthy of the divine favor you carry. One of the deepest wounds of human experience is rejection. From childhood to adulthood, we crave belonging, understanding, and acceptance. To be excluded, overlooked, or dismissed strikes at the very core of our humanity. And yet, for the woman favored by God, rejection is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It is not a curse, it is a compass. Every time she has been misunderstood, every time she has been cast aside, every time she has been treated as too much or not enough, she has discovered something extraordinary. Rejection is rarely about her. It is about the limitations of those around her. Rejection is divine direction. For most, rejection feels like failure. But the favored woman learns to interpret it differently. When a door closes, it is often because it was never meant for her to walk through. When people leave, it is often because they could not walk the distance required of her calling. When opportunities fall apart, it is often because they would have derailed her purpose. Carl Jung once said, "We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses." This is the wisdom the favored woman carries. She does not condemn rejection, nor does she wallow in it. She accepts it as part of the journey, trusting that divine favor does not abandon her in closed doors, but guides her toward the right ones. The freedom in being misunderstood. To be favored is to be misunderstood. People will project onto you their insecurities. They will misinterpret your confidence as arrogance, your independence as coldness, your discernment as suspicion. But instead of bending herself into shapes that please others, the favored woman chooses freedom. She learns that being misunderstood is not the end of the world. In fact, it is liberating. For once you accept that not everyone will get you, you are free from the exhausting performance of trying to be palatable to all. Carl Jung captured this truth in his words. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And part of becoming who you truly are means releasing the need to be universally accepted. The favored woman embraces this privilege daily. The temptation to conform. Still, the temptation is real. In a world where most people crave approval, it is easy to think, maybe if I shrink, I'll be loved. Maybe if I soften my convictions, I'll be accepted. Maybe if I dim my light, I won't make others uncomfortable. But conformity comes at a cost. It costs authenticity. It costs freedom. And it costs the very favor that sets her apart. The favored woman understands that she cannot live for both divine purpose and human approval. She must choose. And time and again, she chooses to remain aligned with God's calling, even if it means losing people, opportunities, or status along the way. Carl Jung warned, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." The favored woman knows who she is, and because she knows, she does not let the world define her. The revelation hidden in rejection. Rejection, when viewed rightly, is revelation. It reveals who is not meant to walk with you. It reveals what doors were never aligned with your destiny. It reveals what you have outgrown. Instead of grieving these losses endlessly, the favored woman learns to be grateful. For every person who left, she found space for someone new. For every door that closed, another opened. For every opportunity denied, a greater one emerged. This is not optimism. It is perspective. It is the wisdom gained from walking long enough with God to know that nothing truly aligned with her calling will ever pass her by. Carl Jung put it this way: even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness. And the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. The favored woman does not despise the sadness of rejection. She knows it gives meaning to the joy of alignment, the peace of true belonging, and the beauty of divine connection. Standing apart. Because of this perspective, the favored woman stands apart. She is no longer swayed by every opinion. She is no longer desperate for validation. She is no longer easily shaken by disapproval. She has discovered something rare. That standing apart is not loneliness. It is leadership. It is the ability to walk where few dare to go. It is the courage to hold steady when the crowd moves in another direction. It is the willingness to embody truth, even when others would prefer silence. Carl Jung reminded us, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. This clarity is what sets the favored woman apart. She does not borrow her vision from others. She looks inward, she looks upward, and she walks forward with certainty. The blessing of the right people. Of course, standing apart does not mean walking alone forever. The favored woman is not meant to be universally accepted, but she is meant to be deeply connected to the right people. And this is the beauty of rejection. It clears the way for authentic connection. The ones who truly belong will not be intimidated by her strength, nor threatened by her wisdom, nor envious of her light. They will celebrate her, walk with her, and rise alongside her. She does not need a multitude. She needs alignment, and favor ensures that alignment comes at the right time, with the right people. If you have felt the sting of rejection, if you have wrestled with misunderstanding, if you have been tempted to conform but chosen to stand firm, then know this: these are not accidents. They are signs of divine favor. Your rejection is not punishment, it is redirection. Your misunderstanding is not failure, it is freedom. Your refusal to conform is not rebellion, it is alignment with the truth of who you are. And as Jung reminded us, we cannot change anything unless we accept it. The favored woman accepts her path. She accepts the loneliness, the misunderstandings, and the rejection, not as curses, but as proof that she was never meant to be ordinary. Everything you have walked through, the suffering, the resilience, the intuition, the rejection, the refusal to conform, has been leading you to this purpose. For a woman favored by God, life is not random. Every season, every trial, every closed door, every moment of pain has been weaving a tapestry that points to something greater. This is why you cannot measure your life by the standards of others. Your path is different. Your calling is different. And your purpose is weighty, the sacred weight of favor. To be favored is not simply to be blessed. It is to be entrusted. Entrusted with influence, with responsibility, with wisdom that others will need. Favor is not only about what you receive, it is about what you carry. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." The favored woman understands this deeply. Her favor is not theoretical, it is lived. She embodies her purpose in her actions, in the way she moves through the world, in the way she carries herself with grace even under pressure. And because she lives it, people notice, even when they cannot explain why. The power of alignment. Purpose is not discovered in ease. It is revealed in alignment. When a woman favored by God stops trying to conform, stops chasing validation, and stops running from her intuition, she finds herself exactly where she is meant to be. And when she is in alignment, things shift. Opportunities arrive that match her calling. People show up who support her mission. Doors open that she once thought were impossible. Not because she forced them, but because she aligned with who she truly is. Carl Jung captured this reality. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. It is terrifying because acceptance means change. Acceptance means you stop waiting for permission and start walking in purpose. And when you do, the world changes around you. Influence without effort. A favored woman does not need to fight for attention. She does not need to prove her worth. Her influence is not rooted in noise but in presence. She shifts atmospheres simply by being who she is. Some people will be drawn to her for this very reason. Others will resist her just as strongly. But either way, she cannot be ignored. She does not seek to control the response. She simply continues to walk in authenticity, knowing her purpose is not dependent on universal acceptance. Carl Jung once observed, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another." There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. The favored woman embodies this. Her way of living may not make sense to everyone, but it is hers, and it fits her perfectly. The courage to lead. Purpose requires courage. It requires stepping into spaces where others hesitate, speaking truth when silence would be easier, and leading when following would be safer. But the favored woman has been prepared for this. Her suffering built her resilience. Her intuition honed her discernment. Her rejection freed her from fear. And now she is ready to lead, not with pride, but with the quiet authority of one who has endured and learned. She understands that leadership is not about control, but about service. It is not about power, but about influence. It is not about being above others, but about walking beside them, guiding with wisdom, and inspiring through example. Carl Jung wisely wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The favored woman leads with this understanding, using conflict and misunderstanding not as excuses for bitterness, but as opportunities for growth, both in herself and in those she influences. Living without apology. Perhaps the most striking mark of a woman favored by God is that she lives unapologetically. Not arrogantly, not carelessly, but unapologetically. She does not apologize for her strength, for her voice, for her presence, or for her calling. She knows that her life is not an accident, that her journey has been intentional, and that her favor is not for her alone, but for everyone her purpose will touch. To apologize for that would be to betray her creator. Carl Jung reminds us, as far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being. The favored woman embraces this wholeheartedly. She lives as light, even when the world prefers darkness. She shines with meaning, even when others would rather she remain silent. She embodies purpose in a world filled with distraction. The ripple effect. When a woman steps fully into divine purpose, the ripple effect is immeasurable. Her life becomes a testimony, not because she proclaims it loudly, but because people cannot help but notice the change in her, the strength in her, the wisdom she carries. Other women see her and find hope for themselves. Men see her and are challenged to rise higher. Children see her and dream bigger. Her very existence becomes an invitation to transformation. This is what divine favor looks like when fully realized. It multiplies. It impacts far beyond the individual. It shapes families, communities, and generations. The call to rise. So now the question is not whether you are favored. You are. The signs are already within you. The real question is whether you will rise into the fullness of that favor. Will you trust your intuition, even when others dismiss it? Will you embrace rejection, even when it wounds? Will you stand apart, even when it means standing alone? Will you walk boldly in purpose, even when it terrifies you? Because this is the call of a woman favored by God, to rise. To rise beyond fear, beyond rejection, beyond conformity, beyond doubt. To rise into the fullness of who she was always meant to be. If you see yourself in these words, then understand. Your story is not ordinary. Your life is not random. You were chosen, prepared, refined, and set apart. The struggles you endured were the training ground. The resilience you built was the foundation. The wisdom you carry is the fruit. And the purpose you are stepping into is the fulfillment of divine favor. Do not shrink. Do not dim your light. Do not apologize for your strength. Walk boldly. Live authentically. Trust completely. Because the world does not need more women who conform. It needs more women who rise. And as Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you choose to become. And you, favored woman, were always meant to become extraordinary. If these words resonated with you, imagine what's ahead when you stay connected. Each week I share fresh insights, encouragement, and practical wisdom to help women like you walk boldly in divine favor without apology. Subscribe now to receive new writings directly in your inbox, plus exclusive content I don't share anywhere else. Don't just read about the journey, be part of it.